Okay, well, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Rebekah Beneteau Show, episode 16, I think. And I'm really excited by this lovely lady who is next to me on the screen, has agreed we are going to have a chat. So let me introduce you to my friend, Sayler Shiningstar. And we met through Access Consciousness. She's based in Durham and is also an Access Bars practitioner and facilitator and creator of Magnitude. And I got excited. Well, Sailor, say hello to the folks.
Hi, you all.
All the pleasure evolutionaries.
Yes, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you, Rebekah, for inviting me and for the journey and the fun we're about to have with what kind of comes up with our discussion.
Yes, exactly. I mean, we've been so excited about this call that even getting the recording to work wouldn't happen, and we had to log in and log back out. And you said you had some tech stuff going on?
I twice within an hour of the call starting on popped up beeping sounds, that I had a virus and I had to call Microsoft and it wouldn't let me get out of it. And fortunately, my enjoyable other is a techie.
Yay.
So I just take my computer and say, hey, can you fix this? So we did. And then I opened it up again and it happened again within 10 minutes before the call was supposed to start.
Wow. There you go. The power of lit up, turned on women, right?
Yes.
I mean, we are just so connected. A lot of people who've been watching me for a while know that I trained with Lafayette Morehouse, and they used to do these demonstrations of women in orgasm through manual stimulation for 5 hours. And the kitchen went on fire. Pictures would fall off the wall. So they stopped doing it for 5 hours, and now they do it for one. The demo's for 1 hour, and that seems manageable. But just thinking about it, if we have the potency to affect the world in that way, and that's kind of happening unconsciously, what might happen? What can lit up women do if they're deliberate about how they use their sexualness and their turn on?
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are potent and magical, or whatever you want to call that energy. We can create, generate, and actualize if we take action.
Yeah. So that's the loose topic for today. And knowing us, we're going to go all over and probably have a hard time shutting up, which is what usually happens when I have a fun guest on, is about being willing to be orgasmic and unstoppable, particularly as women. But guys, I think you'll get something out of this show too. This idea of how do we step into and allow ourselves to feel our sexualness and use that for good or evil.
Well, yes, either one. That there doesn't have to be a judgment on either.
Yeah.
And how much fun can we have? I mean, so the first thing that pops up for me is the energy, the enlivenment, the excitement or bubbliness in my body when I am in that turned on orgasmic state and strutting my stuff, woohoo!
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm almost 60. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's a babe.
Yes. And yes. And there was a time when I used to get offended because they started looking at my daughter in the car. It's like, she's just a baby. 16. She wasn't really a baby. But now it's kind of gone back the other way. It's like, oh, I like this. This is fun.
Right. I remember that stage where my kids became the hot one. And coming to terms with that, and then not letting it stop me feel like, because I'm 55, and I actually often have a better sex life than my children do, I think, at least based on what they tell me. So what if we don't let our age dictate what is possible in our sex?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
I actually think I have more fun the older I get than I did when I was younger. But that was my growing up. I'm sure it's not necessarily the truth for everybody.
yeah. Well,
And
so why don't you tell us a little bit about what it was like and what happened and how you got to where you are now in terms of your relationship with your own body and your sexuality?
oh, cool. So the beginning of my relationship in my own body was when I was itty bitty. I actually remember being in the womb. I actually remember feeling my mother while I was in her womb, and some of that went on. Um, my body and my sexuality was askewed from a very early age. I think at age 5, my father used to come in and start petting me and talk about things that we could do in our little secret. And that went on until I was old enough to say, I don't like this, but he still pushed the boundaries until I was probably 17, when I finally said, no more. And I told my mother, and I'm sure my mother knew anyway. I mean, you can't really hide that for that many years in the house.
Mm-hmm.
And it was hard for her. And even today, she doesn't actually remember any of the things that were talked about and things that happened. And that's okay. But she says she does believe me.
Mm-hmm.
So past that, life after abuse, or what I came into and agreed to experience.
Mm-hmm.
Because I definitely believe that we pick our families, where we live, what goes on. So, how does it get any better than that? I came in, I got the t-shirt. I went through all sorts of emotional stuff with it,
Right.
looking for love literally in all the wrong places,
Mm-hmm.
thinking that sex would do it, and it never did.
Yeah.
Almost 100% of the time, almost, faking orgasm until I was 40
Mm-hmm.
or 40 something. And by then, I'd done enough things. I'd been a Reiki master. I'd done rebirthing, and so the breath work to clear the body. I was doing shamanic work. I had learned a dozen different modalities and taught half of them and practiced with the others also. So by the time I was in my early 40s, and my daughter was born when I was almost 33. So by the time I was in my early 40s, my body and what I was choosing was coming back online, activating. I was aware of my body. Before, it was like I was out here and here was this body, and there was really no connection. And as I started connecting with my own body, and then connecting with some more conscious men, doesn't mean they didn't do some unconscious things,
Mm-hmm.
but their awareness of the body and my energy, my body and my energy, they were really great at playing with that. And the more they did that, the more I enjoyed what was happening. And the more turned on, the more enlivened, the more orgasmic, and the more choices I made for me in traveling and teaching and doing what was fun in the moment. And I had a life and a lifestyle that terrified the hell out of most people.
Mm-hmm.
I could live in a 2-room cabin in the mountains in Taos. I lived in a bus for 2 winters in a friend of mine's backyard
Mm-hmm.
with a little fireplace in there. I'd chuck logs in during the night and and put hot water bottles around the mattress so that by the morning I was cold, but I could, it was enlivening. I enjoyed what I was doing, and I did it until I didn't want to do it anymore.
Uh-huh.
And then I got into, I've always done a lot of breath work and movement of energy in my body and connecting with the earth. and I've played with horses for years, and the enlivenment and the connection with the animals, whether it was, just who I be, whether it was through the shamanism practices that I had, a lot of it I think is who I be.
Mm-hmm.
And the choices I was making to choose to ask more questions, I got involved with One Taste, which is about orgasmic meditation, which is about, so the woman butterflies her legs for 15 minutes. Her clitoris is stroked. She asks for what she would like with faster, slower, left, right, up, down, stop. More energy, please.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And then I learned how to stroke.
Uh-huh.
And that was even, well, number one, it was a whole new level of turn on. Number two, probably number one was it gave me a greater respect for the man stroking and actually being clearer with being more present and focused with my body in that connection with his finger to my clitoris.
Mm-hmm.
And being clear with what I asked for.
Mm-hmm.
And coming out of fear of asking.
Yeah.
And especially asking for an adjustment, what we would call an adjustment, and a little bit of a move. And if that didn't work, having to immediately, again, ask kindly for the next one until we both connected and got that spot.
Uh-huh.
Which would then move, and then I'd ask again.
Right. Thank you for the generosity of telling us all of that. I mean, I was getting chills because I've been on a very similar parallel journey of having something happen with an adult male when I was a child, and then going through this sort of sex is my value in the world. So let me get a lot of sex, but I'm not really enjoying it because my body's here and I'm here. Mm-hmm. And around the same age, in my 30s, recognizing that and saying, like, it's no, I'm not going to live the next chapters of my life lying here under you, wondering if when are you going to get done? Yeah. And I studied with Morehouse, which is where One Taste. So the techniques as well of manual stimulation, very similar. And yes, that empowerment of being able to ask for what you want and feeling like you deserve to have it. When I first learned about what you call oming and they call doing, I said, like, how can I just lay here and receive and not interact with him and not provide orgasm for him? And Cindy Barranco had said to me something like, why would you trade the pleasure that's available to you for this cheap value of showing up and showing off? Something like that. Like, wow. Yeah. So I began to feel entitled, and I recognized as a doer of other people how much the person doing the stroking actually receives. Yes. If you're willing to tune in. So these practices we're talking about is, I also call sensual research dates, and there's a whole video on that on the Pleasure Evolution TV channel about the value of that. But totally derailed my train of thought. But yes, that when as a doer and tuning into my partner, I can feel his or her orgasm in my body. And it's a totally fun ride. And I don't have to receive any stimulation of my body at all.
Well, and that even opens up the fact that we can live orgasmically or turned on, enlivened, whatever anybody wants to call that energy and feeling of, I am strutting my stuff, I'm liking what I do, and what else? What else is possible? What else can I choose? Can I choose to feel this way all day?
Yes. Like, and what can I receive this energy from? Like, this is the other thing. Let me know if this is resonant for you, but I realized that orgasm wasn't something that somebody else actually gave me or made me get to. It was mine to experience. And I could choose to give a person guidance that helps me get there. But really, it's about me just letting that energy run. at any
Yeah.
point.
Yes.
Mm.
I have felt turned on in the middle of places that one would think, oh, that's a little interesting. So I am also a Waldorf early childhood teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and I teach parent toddler. And talk about being in a class of potent little beings that, when I pause for a moment and connect with the children and the space, my body is just like, yes,
Yeah.
this is fun. They're alive. They're in the moment. They're choosing to do just in the next one step right after the other what's fun for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
And
think
so,
what you're saying is that being orgasmic is, it's not really about your genitals.
no. And that's nice to have that included in there
Mm-hmm.
with that. Yes.
It's a plus. We're fond of that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And that's kind of the icing on the cake, so to speak.
Mm.
We are orgasmic beings. It's part of our birthright, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of being a woman. And I say that, at least in this lifetime. I'm not a man, so I can't speak for the men. But, men are orgasmic too.
Mm-hmm.
I have a partner, a lover that can play with my energy and feel me when I'm not even home.
Mm-hmm.
And I can feel him. Just as I can, connect with the horses or the trees or the earth or a group of people someplace else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's that communion that we would call in access, the communion with everything is enlivening and a turn on.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how did you give yourself permission? Can you identify any of the steps of this blossoming into allowing to yourself to feel more of this energy more of the time?
When you ask that, the first thing that came to mind, it just keeps going back further and further and further. So growing up, I did a lot of self-pleasuring.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably what freed me the most from the ceiling, the pressure of the incest, the holding my energy and my body down hostage, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Because of all the stuff that went on, and because of all the different things I tried to do or did to try to feel or not feel, there were a lot. I ended up in 12-step programs in my late 20s, late 30s, late 30s, late 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so I started talking about the incest because I didn't have a problem with that. I grew up doing that with others so that they didn't, partly just because I like to share my story, and partly so that others didn't feel like they were alone.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more I talked about it, the freer I became.
Mm-hmm.
And I did a lot of different things. I did breath work. I did network chiropractic to open things up in my body. I didn't do it. I received network chiropractic. And I had a host of practitioners and people who contributed to my life and the change of that. There isn't one thing that I can actually look at, but there's, one, oming made a big difference. And then meeting Chris and the play that we did made a big difference. That's another cute little story. If we have time, I'll get into it. If not, we did some classes with the Tantra Nova people out of Chicago.
Mhm.
And so just a lot of, I continually say, I want more. I
Yes.
like living in this feeling, with this feeling and being this. And part of my thing on the planet is to empower people to know that they know and to live an enlivened, turned on orgasmic life.
Mhm.
So I think just knowing that, it just brings all sorts of things to experience.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, hearing you say that, what I'm struck by is actually that there was one important thing, which is that you made a choice to have there be more. And then you
Mhm.
made kind of an ask of the universe, maybe not literally like, universe, what's it going to take for me to have a better relationship with my body? But now that I have the tools of access consciousness, I would say that's a great tool. You know,
Mhm.
because if someone watching is desirous of that, and then you ask, universe, what's it going to take for me to have ease and joy in my body? And you know, you can do a clearing statement on that to clear anything that's in the way, and then see
Mhm.
what shows up and
Yeah.
follow what lights you up, right? So then
Yeah.
suddenly there's a class, and then there's a this and something else. I mean, I kind of made that demand, and then one of the teachers at the healing school I was at said, I see you. You're a sacred prostitute. And I was like, wait, what? And it started me looking at what that archetype was and what that energy meant. And then
Mhm.
another friend who had discovered Morehouse came, and she's like, I'm taking this class and they're going to teach us how to rub on each other. And I was like, oh, that sounds horrible. What? But she went and she did it and she came back all lit up. And then I was like, I think I want some of that. So the next time they gave the class, you better believe I was in it. And then, you know, each step, like you said, leads to another opportunity, and you get to
Yeah.
make another choice and another choice. And um, but I think it takes making that very first choice and that commitment to having it be different, and not committed to our stories, right? You could very easily have hid behind your incest and never taken any steps out of it, and everybody would have bought poor Sayler, right? This
I,
happened to her.
I,
Poor
I,
Rebekah. She got
I,
molested.
yeah, I think I would be dead. I
Mm-hmm.
would not still be in this body.
Mm-hmm.
It was it was a pretty uncomfortable place to be.
Mm.
And
When you say
and
place.
I don't think that I came in and to live this life
Mm-hmm.
for that.
Right, right. How do you get out of being a victim of the things that most of our reality would say you have every right to be victimized by?
Hmm. Knowing that I have a choice,
Mm-hmm.
that I've always had a choice. And part of my belief system is that I chose my parents. I chose my birth date, where we were living. So, and everything else that is happening, different possibilities. And then I just continue to choose on a day-to-day, in Access, we talk about choosing every 10 seconds. And I don't necessarily ask questions and choose differently every 10 seconds, and I ask a lot of questions. What would it be like if I choose this? What will my life be like in 5 years if I choose this? What will my life be like in 5 years if I don't choose this? And with that question, I pay attention to my body. Does my body feel light and expanded?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's bubbly and tingling? Or does it go ugh, and feel really heavy? And and then there's a middle in there. There's oh, this feels a little heavy, but it kind of feels light. It's like, oh, more questions. What am I resisting here?
Uh-huh.
Or is it even for me? Is it for now? Is it for later? There's lots of questions, and they all open up different possibilities. Gary and Dane, the founders of Access Consciousness, say, it's going to go bye-bye for a moment. Oh gosh. Basically, it's that questions open up opportunities, answers close them
Right.
down. We don't, if we already know an answer, we're
Mm-hmm.
not open to something else that's possible.
Yeah, right on. I love that reminder because I had this leather blazer and I was like, what will my life be like 5 years from now if I give it to the Goodwill? And I got kind of a neutral. What will it be like if I give it to my oldest child? And I got kind of neutral. And I just went, all right, I'm putting it in the Goodwill. And obviously I wasn't asking the right question. There's someplace up, maybe there was someplace else it's supposed to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I just haven't asked that yet. And I really like asking that question, what's right about this that I'm not getting? Yeah. About those situations in the past where I could be victimized, because I agree with you, we are 100% responsible. If I were choosing this situation because I thought it was going to create more, why would I have chosen it?
Mm-hmm.
And getting in line with that just makes me feel better. When I feel like a victim, I'm not as creative, I'm not as generative. It's like sucks away my life force.
Well, and, being a victim, not only we're judging what happened and the other person who we've evidently probably contracted with to do this, but we're really judging ourselves. And that does not feel light. For me, that just shuts me down.
Right.
And then, my face gets tight and taut, and there's no energy, and my breath is smaller, and it does not feel good.
No. Yeah. And when I look at if I had not had what happened to me, if I had not had to quest for my own sexuality, I probably wouldn't be sitting in this chair right now. And all the people that I'm helping and all the change that you're creating, like everything that happened to me and you created us to be the people we are today.
Yeah.
To have the impact that we're having.
Yeah.
So how awesome is that?
It is.
How genius are we?
Well, and what I was just getting to is, so if in our quest as survivors, looking for love and equating sex and as love and feeling good and blah blah blah, and the sluttiness or prostitute or whore-ishness that goes with that, and other people's points of view that we may pick up and then judge ourselves as. We were talking just a little bit before the call of Gary referring to women as sluts in his book, and he does it sometimes in his classes, to poke the bear, so to speak.
Yes.
And what if we were that energy? What contribution is being open? And sluttishness is more of, my brain, my mind says, oh, that's being out there with lots of people, but my body says, oh, the energy of slut, the energy of prostitute, which actually is one of the, if not the oldest profession, one of the oldest professions.
Right.
And courtesans, geishas, they were elevated to a high status and place.
Right.
They brought an energy of expandedness and possibly luxuriousness and elegance by who they were energetically. So what are we contributing, to other people who pick up on that energy? What are we contributing to the earth? And if people know what we've, some of our past, what is it for them to go, wow, if she can get through that and live with this energy and joy and choice, what's possible for me? What's possible for others?
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. And I'm so glad you steered the conversation because I was about to bring that up. So, oh, where are we?
Yes.
Yes, but this use of the word slut, I mean, I come from an era where my mind hears that as a judgment. And I've tried, like I've used the word slut and said the letters stand for sexually liberated, unusually truthful. So, but that's all still mind stuff. But when I hear the word slut, I notice that I want to like resist it and react. And what would it take for me to be the slut I truly be? And yes, be willing to be seen as enjoying my body, as enjoying other people's bodies. And that doesn't mean I have to do anything about it. I'm not going to go rampant running through the street having sex with anybody who drops their trousers. It is about a willingness, though, I think, to be receiving my own energy and also be willing to have other people's energy. Like, what can I do with other people's lust? I don't have to show up and satisfy it. I can just let them lust after me. Because sex and money are very tied. And if you're not willing to receive other people's sexual admiration, then
Yes.
I'm not going to receive their money, even if you're not a sex coach like me, right?
Well, and in some of the classes that I've been in, and we talk about money and and lusting for money, and money lusting for us. If we're an enlivened energy, if we're in our potency, money wants to come play with us. So I can't imagine it, but money being energy, what it's like to come play with, oh ho hum, blah blah blah. I'm never gonna have any money. My life's crap. I didn't get much when I was in that energy. The little bit I was, yeah. So
Yeah. So what would it take for all of us to be willing to be seen as the appetites that we truly be, the desire, always desiring more, never having enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What is it they say in Access? Well, one of them is more money than God.
Yeah.
And the other one is, never having enough. I don't even recall what it was. You basically said it.
Yeah, it's something like always wanting more, or always wanting what you have and never having enough. I don't know. I can't remember it either, but there's plenty of Access Consciousness videos all over the place. If you're interested, I highly recommend going to accessconsciousness.com and also theclearingstatement.com to learn a little bit about what we've been talking about, but we haven't done the whole pot and pock because I'm quite frankly not sure we're allowed to on social media as bars facilitators and not certified facilitators. I always hit that snag.
Well, technically we're not. So yeah.
Yeah, so go learn more about that. Read the books. If what we've been saying about Access and Access's approach to life intrigues you. What did I tell you? We've been on for a half an hour.
Oh wow! Oh wow!
It happened that quick.
Well, I don't know what you have that you're thinking about, but what's coming up for me right now is about talking to our bodies.
Yeah.
And I remember learning about talking to my body years ago. I don't even remember what it was. It was Chad Helmstetter talking about standing in the mirror and talking to your body and affirmations. And I did those. They sort of worked. They sort of didn't. I still was dealing with stuff. I might feel better in the moment. What I've learned with Access, and even what was touched in some of the conversations around oming, and definitely in Tantra, is touch. Touching my body and touching it, receiving the touch, and just feeling who I be in the skin what feels good, and that, yes, I actually am here. I'm here. And hi, body. Oh, body, hi. And I'm sorry for when I have ignored you. And that just, I mean, that lights my body up. I get this, yes, she's paying attention to me.
Yes. Yay. Yes, absolutely. That's perfect. I think it's a great place for us to just kind of wrap up that these questions that we've been talking about and becoming orgasmic and unstoppable, a good tool is getting into a conversation with your body, asking your body questions, being willing to be in relationship with your own body instead of looking for someone outside of you to touch you and tell you you're pretty. Like, touch yourself, right? Tell myself I'm pretty. Look in the mirror and acknowledge the things that I like. And when I first started that kind of exercise, I basically was like my eyebrows, my eye color, my fingers, until I could get to loving all of it, the thighs, the belly, the pussy, just all of it. And asking because it's our bodies that want to have sex. And our brain can tell us, well, this person looks good on paper. Or he bought me dinner, or I've gone out with him 3 times, so now I should have sex with him. And what might our lives be like if every time we went, what would be fun to do with this person? Body, what do you want to do with this person? I had that recently at a play party. Body, do you want to play with this person? Will be fun and easy. And I got, yeah. And then I was like, body, do you want to have intercourse with this person? And I got, no. And I went, okay. So we're going to do this much and not anymore. And we had a great time. And it was really fun. So you and your body, your being and your body showing up for sex. Yeah. Like way more fun than you imagine.
Yeah. And when we show up in life, then we show up with everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And talk and pod that which we don't want to show up for.
Yes.
If there's resistance to it, what's right about it and what else is possible.
Yeah. Yeah. What else is possible? Speaking of that, Sayler and I really want to do a class together. We don't know what it is yet, though. So tell us.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, we would love to know, right? I didn't even run this by you, but I'm just kidding.
I'm good. It's tingly for me.
Yeah. What could we create? What would you like us to talk about in a class together? What can we create? So we're going to look at what your questions are. We're going to come up with something. Yeah. And we will invite you to it to deepen this conversation of, and I think particularly the fact that both of us do have some childhood stuff. So it may that could be really fun. Like, how do you reclaim your juiciness? Yeah. For you. Yes. Yes. For me. So anyway, it's going to be something. So we'll keep you posted. Sayler, this was so fun. I'm so appreciative that
Thank you, Rebekah. Yes.
You came into my life and that we're deepening our friendship and our co-creations.
Yes. I look forward to more. What else is possible? And how does it get any better than this?
How does it? So for everybody out there in internet land, if you've enjoyed this video, please share it, because the more lit up, turned on women we have, the more lit up, turned on people we have in the planet, I think the more the planet is just going to up level. Go visit me at pleasureevolution.com. What else? Watch some more of the videos, and just remember, until I see you again next week, check out the Facebook page, Pleasure Evolution. And until I see you again, do what gets your panties wet.
I love it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Stop the recording. Bye.